Most strength coaches enter this profession thinking their job is to make athletes stronger. And technically, yes, that's part of it. But if that's the only extent or the only thing you think you need to do as a coach, you are going to struggle with buy in. You are going to struggle with impact, and honestly, you are going to struggle within your career. Because the coaches who build the best programs and the deepest athlete connections understand something that takes most coaches years to figure out. Your job is not to be the star. Your job is to make the star better or the athlete. And everything changes the moment you truly internalize that. I'm Garrett Phelps. I help new strength coaches create systems to increase athlete buy-in, results, and career value. Today, we're going to go in depth, look at something what I call, or what I cover in chapter 4 of my book, the athlete buy-in system. This system that we're going to go over, the role recognition system. This chapter hits a nerve with a lot of coaches when the book came out because it's one of those things nobody teaches you directly. You just kind of figure it out over time as you go through your coaching evolution and as you get farther into your coaching career. But I want to hand it to you directly today so you don't waste years learning the hard way like me and many other coaches that have been in this profession. Let me start with the thing that most coaches get wrong, the identity problem. When a lot of coaches step into a facility, especially early in their career, and I'm a fault at it, they come in with this energy like they're the main character. They've got the programs, they've got the science, they got the certifications from all these different courses and organizations, and they look at that excitement that excitement is not a bad thing, but what often comes with it is this unconscious belief that they're the main character or the most important thing in the athlete's development. That if the athlete just does what they say, everything works out. And that mindset, that ego, is exactly what gets in their way of actual impact when it comes to developing athletes. Here's the truth from chapter 4. I want you to write this down. Strength is always secondary to skill. Always. It never changes and it never will. Let me say that again. Strength is always secondary to skill. Always. The strength coach is not the main character. The sport is the main character. The athlete's sports skill development is the main character. Your role, and this is not a knock on us as a profession, this is actually incredibly powerful if you understand it correctly. Your role is general physical preparedness, or GPP. You are building the physical foundations that allows the main character, the skill, to do their job at a higher level. That's it. And that is massive. But you have to stop trying to be something you're not. Now, let me tell you why this matters on a practical, technical level. And this is where the role recognition system comes in really useful to understand this. There are 3 stages of skill development. Every athlete you work with is somewhere in one of these 3 stages, depending on what skill they're trying to establish. And your role looks at a little different at each stage. Stage 1 is the cognitive phase. This is where the athlete who is brand new to the movement or skill, they are consciously thinking through every single step. Their brain is overloaded. They're moving slow, execution looks sloppy or clunky. They have to be walked through it every single time. At this stage, your job is to be patient and clear and reduce the noise, not add to it. The worst thing you can do with a cognitive phase athlete is pile on cues or overcoach cues more and more. One thing at a time, build the foundation, be patient, and wait for their skill level to increase. Stage 2 is the associative phase. This is where the athlete has the movement pattern down in principle, And now they are actually drilling it through repetition. They know what it's supposed to look like. They're just trying to make it more consistent and better automatically over time and over time over time. This phase takes the longest amount of time. We're talking months to years to understand a specific skill. Potentially 2 years, depending on how high level the skill is. Most coaches underestimate this phase and try to rush through it and consistently introduce new things when what the athlete actually needs is more high quality reps of the same thing. The variation myth is real. More novelty is not always more progress. More novelty is not more progress. Stage 3 is the autonomous phase. This is when the athlete no longer thinks about it, they just do it. The movement is automated in their body. Their job here shifts almost entirely to optimization and performance expression. Push load, test outputs, measure the results. The skill is in the background doing its job. Understanding which phase your athletes are in changes how you coach, how you program, and how you actually communicate to the athletes when they need it the most. And when you see your role through these lenses and these 3 stages, you stop trying to force things that aren't developmentally appropriate. You stop overcomplicating when simplicity is what needed. You coach to where the athlete actually is, not where you want them to be at. They may not be able to actually do what you need them to do. You have to be patient and recognize this and make adjustments. Now, here's the piece that ties the whole entire chapter together, because understanding your role isn't just about what you're not. It's about what you are actually supposed to do. Chapter 4 calls these the 3 buttons. And these are the 3 buttons where your real influence as a coach lives. Button 1, quality of life. Your job is to build routines, build habits, build long-term thinking in your athletes. Most of the athletes you work with, especially at the high school and early college level, have no idea how to think long-term about their body. You are the person who teaches them that. Not by lecturing, but by building systems that make the right behavior the default behavior: sleep, nutrition, recovery, consistency. These are the qualities of life pillars, and you have to access them to the athletes and be able to coach them on these things, not just the sport. Button 2, relationship. Athletes buy into people before they buy into programs. Read that again. You can have the most well-designed program in the country, and if the athlete doesn't trust you, doesn't feel seen, doesn't feel like you actually care, none of it lands with them and buy-in will fade. The relationship is not a soft skill. It is a performance variable. It goes directly into the athlete buy-in rate formula because it directly determines whether your work transfers. Push this button intentionally. Know your athletes. Listen to them. Be present, not just on the floor, off the floor too. This continues to button 3, guidance. This is the piece most coaches never tap into. You have access to these athletes in ways that most adults in their lives never will. You see them when they're tired. You see them when they're frustrated. You see them when they want to quit and when they push through it. That relationship gives you the chance to be a performance counselor, not just a performance coach. When an athlete is struggling mentally, they're doubting themselves, they don't think they're able to push through or be able to accomplish what they want to. When they're carrying something into a session that is killing their output, you notice that and you have the opportunity to speak into their life. You can speak into it. You can bring perspective. That is the guidance button. Push it. Now, here's the trap the chapter warns against. And I want to make sure I hit this before I wrap up this video. Overcoaching. When strength coaches are unclear on their role, they try to fill every space of silence. They give too many cues, they correct too much, they talk too much because they want to be the main character if we haven't recognized their role. And what happens, athletes' development becomes a dependency. They stop being able to work without consistent instruction. They lose autonomy. They lose confidence in their own movement sense or their coordination. Your job is to teach athletes how to learn their body, not to create athletes who are dependent on you. We have to create an independent athlete. The goal is independence with standards, not dependence on your voice or your knowledge or your insights. Here's the takeaway and the system. Before your next training session, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what stage of development are my athletes in? You may have different ones. Some may be in the learning phase, some may be in the autonomous phase. Am I coaching the appropriate stage for the athlete? 2, am I pushing all 3 buttons? Quality of life, relationships, and guidance. Or am I just showing up and running a program? The last question, number 3. Am I building autonomous or independent athletes that are not dependent on me? Those are the 3 questions of the role recognition system in practice. Answer them honestly, and they will point you in the direction that you need to change, not just you, but the athletes and the other coaches you work with. The strength coach who understands this role, their real role, isn't less powerful. They are more powerful because they're actually operating with clarity instead of ego. They're not competing with the sport, they're serving it. And that is the coach that athletes remember. That is the coach that the athletic directors call back. That is the coach that builds a reputation that lasts. If you got any value out of this video, go grab a copy of my Athlete Buy and Rate book. And remember, systems drive success.